Last week, Republicans on Capitol Hill again did what Democrats and the legacy media said they couldn't do. They approved the budget framework that allows the party to begin the process of drafting President Trump's one big, beautiful bill, all of the policy initiatives that he wants to accomplish. Well, this is something I talked about with House Speaker Mike Johnson on our weekend program, on my weekend program this week on Capitol Hill, and I thought you might like to hear part of that, so I'm going to share part of that interview with you right now. Let me step back for just a moment. A very tough week, but it's followed another tough week, which followed another tough week. It's been difficult, and as I referenced earlier, a lot of people say, I don't know how he does it, but he keeps pulling these rabbits out of the hat. But there's more to it. There's a lot of prayer that goes into this, but there's a burden that you carry with this. Talk about how you navigate these critical moments on Capitol Hill.
Well, with a lot of faith, a lot of prayer, a lot of patience. This is really high stakes stuff, and the one big beautiful bill we're talking about is arguably one of the most consequential pieces of legislation, one of the most comprehensive pieces of legislation that the Congress has ever dealt with in its entire history since 1789. So we don't take this lightly, but we don't carry the burden as a heavy weight. I mean, we understand the historic significance of the moment we're in, and you just got to keep a steady hand through it. I'm blessed in that regard. I have a deep faith and obviously faith in God, who we seek His wisdom and guidance for every day, but also in my colleagues. It's a good group of folks. They have very different interests, very different ideas, very different priorities among them. But at the end of the day, I'm confident each time that we can get everybody together, and we always do. And sometimes it takes a lot of effort to do that, and a lot of listening, a lot of letting people emote, and sometimes get angry and work through 5 stages of grief and all that. But we get to the point of consensus, and that's the beauty of a deliberative public body like this. The Congress of the United States is the greatest deliberative body in the world. We ought to act like it, and we try to do that every day.
But it's not always been that way, and I think that there's something a little different that's taking place here in terms of your leadership style, that people look at it and think, well, this is just, it's an ugly process, it's a difficult process, but that is the process when you allow the members of Congress to have a voice in the process and to reach consensus that everyone can live with. It's a difficult process.
It is, and it takes a lot of patience, and you can't get angry. You can't take anything personal. People get very emotional because the stakes are so high at certain points and all this. But that's part of it. So I don't get rattled by that. I don't take any of the barbs personally. They come all the time. That's sort of part of the job. But you just keep your eye on the prize, and that's what we do. I know that our mission is so critical for the future of this country, Tony, and we are the greatest nation in the history of the world. We're the last great superpower on the planet, and we have to maintain that status. And so we don't really have the luxury of allowing emotions to get in the way of this. We just have to get the mission accomplished. And I'm grateful that we're continuing to do that and defy the odds. It's in some ways it's a benefit to be constantly underestimated. It allows us to get it done and surprise everybody, and that's fine. And then frankly, between you and me, then God gets the glory for it. Right?
So talk a little bit about your relationship with President Donald Trump in this process, because there have been times that he's been very helpful in this process. But this last round, really, when it came to the negotiations of getting this across the line, it appears that it was you working with the majority leader in the Senate that really got this across the line.
Yeah, look, the president is one of a kind. He's the most powerful political force probably in the history of American politics, or maybe politics anywhere in history. And he's always willing to engage, but I didn't want to burden him with making phone calls to members. I just thought we need to take care of the business in the House ourselves, and with Senate. Grateful that Majority Leader Thune has the same perspective, and he and I, as you know, did a press conference yesterday morning or right before the vote. And that was really important. And we had a signal that the House and the Senate are united. Republicans are working together. It's a one-team approach. And I think that's helpful to the White House. Ultimately, we have to deliver on the America First agenda. But we're the Article I branch of the government, and we ought to act like it, and we got to get our business done. So the president's a great partner, but it's helpful when he doesn't have to spend his time engaging in what we're doing.
Mr. Speaker, the House is out for a couple of weeks, Easter break, and then return after that. You're going to be, as you are now, crisscrossing the country, doing the political thing that goes along with the policy thing. What do you anticipate when you return?
Well, we're going to have a very, very busy time because all of the bills that will make up, they'll be pulled together and become the one big beautiful bill. Each of the components of that will be marked up in various committees. We have 11 different House committees that are tasked with instructions on the reconciliation. So a lot of work will go into taking those drafts and working them through the regular order of the committee process, fine tuning it, making amendments, and getting that in its final shape. So there'll be a lot of activity in both the House and Senate, and a very close collaboration and cooperation between the two chambers. I mean, really, when I say one team, Tony, it's not just a sort of a rally cry. This is exactly how it's going to work and how it has to work. Because at the end of the day, with small margins in both chambers, to your point earlier, we got to have every member with a say and have some involvement in this. So a lot of that will be working simultaneously across the two chambers of the Capitol. It's going to be a very busy time and a very exciting time for the country.
Well, that was part of my conversation with House Speaker Mike Johnson during my weekend program this week on Capitol Hill. To find out more about that program, I encourage you to visit thisweekoncapitolhill.com, or if you have the Stand Firm app, you can pick it up each Saturday evening.